Reboots, ripoffs, and rolling, oh my. You can spend all the money you want on a TV show, but you can't buy views, though we'd bet Amazon's probably tried at this point. For better or worse, HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series is bound to get a lot of views, at least at first. Kicking off any reboot can be an uphill battle, but the new Potter show has a lot of forces working against it. First off, it will likely follow the same arc the movies did, depicting Harry's evolution from a lonely and abused orphan to the Chosen One, destined to save the wizarding world. And considering that the original series cast was filled with some of the most legendary actors in history, and millions still picture Daniel Radcliffe's face when they hear Harry's name, it's unlikely people who like the franchise already will accept just anyone as the new face of the series. Then there's the other issue.
Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling.
Both longtime Potter fans and much of its original cast have denounced J.K. Rowling's work due to her controversial political views. And Rowling hasn't done much to win over any detractors since her reputation blew up. So it's hard to imagine anyone dedicating upwards of 10 hours every year for the better part of a decade to keeping up with yet another one of her projects. And while the fantasy TV boom Game of Thrones started is still going pretty strong, it just seems like the Harry Potter universe isn't equipped to attract committed fans again.
No spell can reawaken the dead, Harry. I trust you know that.
Adult animated series Universal Basic Guys follows Mark and Hank Hoagies as they join a universal basic income program after losing their factory jobs. With 13 episodes under its belt, it hasn't exactly posted the ratings you'd expect from a show already locked in for season 2. While renewing animated shows pretty early is fairly common, Fox has to be kicking itself for committing to this one as quickly as it did. The series has largely depended on NFL overruns for an audience, and when it aired on a night without a game, it was lucky to break 1 million viewers. In the era of streaming, that may not sound disastrous. After all, watching new episodes in the days after something airs is common practice now. But the fact is, Universal Basic Guys just isn't impacting pop culture the way many of its predecessors have. The humor isn't particularly witty, and the satire doesn't feel fresh. While it might just scare up a large fan base for its second season, we have a feeling it will wind up losing its Sunday night slot and get pushed to the late midweek dustbin like animation domination failures of the past.
Okay, and I'm out.
Enter the Taylor Sheridan wannabes. Ragdoll is set to be a drama about bull riders, originally slated to star country singer Tim McGraw. He unfortunately had to bow out due to some untimely medical issues, though. McGraw made a name for himself playing a sad-eyed patriarch in 1883, and this Western drama definitely sounds up his alley. While it looks like he's staying on to produce, removing such a big name from its cast doesn't exactly bode well for a new series. Besides that, there are a lot of other strikes against Ragdoll. Even though Saturday and Sunday mornings are often laden with broadcast of professional bull riding shows, the sport has hardly managed to produce a compelling film or television series that wasn't based in reality. Urban Cowboy is the closest it ever came, and those bulls were mechanical. Even worse, the show's logline makes it sound like we're in for yet another veteran versus mysterious young buck clash, which doesn't sound particularly interesting or original. In other words, Ragdoll doesn't seem like it has anything new up its sleeve. It's possible McGraw will pull off a fancy trick and rope this bronc in successfully, but right now it looks like he's stuck in a chute with no hope of rescuing his rider. Moving on from Sheridan ripoffs to actual Sheridan shows, we have The Madison. Between 1944, his 2 untitled Casey and Beth Dutton spin-offs, and 4/6's Ranch, Tyler Sheridan has a lot of Yellowstone shows already in the works. But while all of those have ties to star characters from the original series, he's also got a Dutton-less show on the horizon as well. The Madison will follow the McIntosh family as they move from New York to the wilds of Montana. The matriarch Stacy will be played by Michelle Pfeiffer. Her 2 grown daughters, Paige and Abigail, will be played by Elle Chapman and Beau Garrett. Paige is married to an investment banker played by Patrick J. Adams, while Abigail is a single mother with 2 daughters of her own. The show's cast is rounded out by Matthew Fox as the brooding hunk Paul.
I'm the most intelligent man here, and I intend to keep us alive.
Naturally, tenderfeet like the McIntosh family will have to learn the code of the West, Sheridan style. While the setup for the series promises soapy drama, is there hope for a show without a Dutton in the bunch? Well, we think it has a chance if it uses its setup as an opportunity to view the West in a way the rest of the Yellowstone universe hasn't really allowed. But if Sheridan carries on with his usual shtick, we doubt even Pfeiffer's draw will save the Madison from an early death. Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. They're words we heard dozens of times growing up, and it looks like we're slated to hear them again before long. In 2026, Malcolm in the Middle will be the subject of a mini revival on Disney+. With the exception of Dewey actor Eric Pear Sullivan, most of the original cast has signed on to return for the reboot. The show will see Frankie Muniz as Malcolm, living as a single father while dealing with his still wacky parents. Both Lois and Hal want him to attend their 40th wedding anniversary celebration, which we're willing to bet will get pretty chaotic. Either way, we're curious to see if Malcolm has lived up to his genius-level IQ and achieved the greatness he sought out in the original series, or if he's been left in the world of mediocrity where he grew up. The thing that we're worried will trip the reboot up is that the original show's sour attitude and dark humor just scream early 2000s, and we don't think they'll be able to recreate that magic in this day and age. And speaking of the early 2000s, many a nostalgic millennial is surely rooting for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot currently in the works.
After the last 3 years of us really sort of brainstorming and figuring out what it'll be, we're moving forward this summer.
The first point against the show's success is the fact that it won't be particularly focused on Buffy. While Sarah Michelle Gellar will appear in the show regularly, TV Line reports that the series will focus on someone younger. As of now, that new protagonist is slated to be named Nova, and she'll supposedly be a total smarty-pants who sounds a lot more like a younger version of Giles than a Buffy replacement. It's currently unknown who will land that role, though Gellar once told author Evan Ross Katz that she thought Zendaya would be a good replacement Slayer. Unfortunately, we're long past the point that would ever happen. Just look at how far Zendaya's career has come. There's no word on what kind of position Ms. Summers will hold in the show herself, but her monster slaying expertise will surely be an asset to the next generation of Scoobies. Since none of the other original cast are confirmed to return, we have our doubts that Gellar alone will offer enough of a nostalgia factor to get people watching. It will also be a challenge to breathe new life into a franchise that now has Joss Whedon's abuse tainting its legacy. But you never know. It's possible the series will break free of that association and become something great on its own. We're just not optimistic. Name-only reboots usually aren't great. The central concept and world building need to be very strong for fans to accept new characters going on new adventures as worthy of the name left behind by the original. So, the Prison Break reboot slated for 2026 is going to have a lot to live up to. Of course, the original Prison Break wasn't perfect either, repeatedly creating scenarios that forced Link Burrows and Michael Scofield to break back into prison over and over really put a strain on the original series. Even so, it would probably be a good idea to have somebody from that main cast as a regular in the new series, and it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Mayans MC co-creator Elgin James is working on a version of Prison Break that will be entirely new. And if his work on Mayans MC is any indication, we can definitely expect some bold, if not horrific, storylines to come along. Will his Prison Break have the courage to take on for-profit prisons and the conversations surrounding police states in the 2020s? If anyone can do it, it's James. But if that's the route he takes, it might be tough to find a network or streamer brave enough to follow him there. No matter how messy it gets, there are still fans out there that will consume everything Blade Runner regardless of the format. While some audiences really enjoyed the wild visual style of Blade Runner 2049, it didn't exactly rock the box office. Philip K. Dick's story has continued in comic books, video games, short films, and novels, and now Blade Runner 2099 is starting all over again with Michelle Yeoh headlining. Yeoh portrays a replicant who, like Rachel and Roy before her, is facing down the end of her long artificial lifespan. Make no mistake, this project has legs, the cast is impressive, and the characters have the potential to be pretty interesting. Original Blade Runner director Ridley Scott even has a hand in the show's production, but the franchise's only previous foray into a series format was Blade Runner Black Lotus, which only lasted one season on Toonami. So the odds aren't in 2099's favor, even with that much talent behind it. But Prime Video has surprised us before, so we wouldn't lose all hope quite yet. Prime Video has staked an enormous amount of money on Citadel succeeding. It renewed the show in 2023 thanks to Season 1's decent numbers, and then spun up a whole franchise of spin-offs. That includes Citadel Diana, which managed to become something of a minor international hit in 2024, and the Indian-centric Citadel Honey Bunny that also did respectably on streaming services. But the franchise's future has darkened since the head of Amazon's streaming and television department, Jennifer Salke, stepped down. Without its biggest supporter there, the middling thriller might be done for. The second season of Citadel has endured a whole lot of production agony, and its premiere was ultimately postponed from 2025 to 2026. On top of that, the futures of Honey Bunny, Deanna, and any other potential spin-offs will likely depend on how Season 2 does. That puts the showrunners in a tough position, especially considering action fans didn't adore Season 1 in the first place. The show just doesn't seem to have caught on with a wider audience like huge action hits Reacher and Fallout have. And now that Amazon fully owns James Bond, it's not as if it's starving for convoluted spy storylines at the moment. So we're willing to bet Citadel's days are numbered.